Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you happen to be viewing this video. Back in the library again, one of my favorite places. I just kind of feel at home here. I have some good news for you, and at least I hope it's good news for you. I've been reading in Romans, and the 8th chapter has always fascinated me. There's so much in that entire chapter. I'm not going to do the whole chapter, but the first two verses I think are very informative, and both of these verses I think are very familiar to you. But the first verse is, "There is therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus." No condemnation. You know, too many times I think we are actually guilty of condemning ourselves, and we're included in that. Self-condemnation or the condemnation of others does not happen when you are in Christ unless you allow it to happen. But he explains it in the second verse where he says, "For the law of the Spirit of life in Christ has set you free from the law of sin and death." Not is going to set you free, not may set you free. You are set free now from the law of sin and death. Now, let me just say a word about that now-ishness. I was reading the other day that in the Bahamas, actually, August 1st, in 1838, they set all the slaves free. That was the date. And so many of the slaves climbed the highest mountain in the Bahamas because they wanted to be the first to see the sunrise, knowing that they were going to be the first to be set free. That was that day, that time, that they were set free. The second thing about this verse that I think is so important to understand is this whole idea that what are we set free from? We're set free from the law of sin and death. Now, everybody is a little bit sensitive about talking about sin, and definitely we're sensitive about talking about death. But we're not talking about the fact that if you sin, you're going to die. If that was true, we'd all be dead, because all of us have sinned. All of us continue to sin. What that's really saying to us is that when we do sin, death happens. There's a distancing between us and God when we sin. And so our relationship with God begins to die slowly. Other things can die, like the joy that we experience can begin to die. The hope, the love that we oftentimes have begins to die because of sin. So it's something that we all need to think about from time to time, that this is something that we have been set free from, because the law of the Spirit of life in Christ, when we embrace Christ's life in us, then Christ comes into us. And that sets us free from this desire to sin, with the knowledge that we don't want that relationship to die. We don't want that relationship to be diminished in any way. So again, I hope that this is good news, that there is a law out there, the law of life in Christ Jesus, and that overcomes the law of sin and death. And so I feel that this word, that there is no condemnation, is something that we need to share with as many people as we can. And I hope you'll do that, and I know you'll be blessed. Good to be with you again. Hope to see you soon.